Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, welcome to each one of you in this webinar, and the important topic of the discussion with regard to TCS. And we have with us our eminent expert, CA Samir Agarwal ji, as a speaker, and another expert, CA Sachin Sinha ji, as a moderator of the today's session. So welcome to all, and welcome to all participants for joining for this important session where we are going to discuss recent amendment in FEMA Rule 2000, its impact on income tax TCS under Section 206, and RBI liberalized scheme. Yes. So we will discuss this topic in length, and thereafter we will take up all the queries from the participant. If you have any query, you can post in the chat box. We will definitely take up in the last or wherever required. About Samir Agarwal ji, he is a fellow chartered accountant and having around 18 years of experience in the field of finance and taxation. He is currently associated with the with US largest IT MNC Infogain as a global tax head, taking care of India, US, Middle East, Singapore, and UK taxation compliances. Samirji is also associated with various professional bodies, platform, and appeared as a guest speaker on the budget talks, income tax, and GST matters. So he's having a vast experience in this field. So we will definitely take up the knowledge on the subject. So not taking much of time, I request before I invite Samir ji, I request Sachin ji to give brief about the topic going to be discussed. Over to Sachin ji.
Thank you so much, Sumit ji. Thank you so much, CASA, for giving us this opportunity, and I'm very much thankful to Sumit ji for organizing such an excellent webinar. And this is a great matter of privilege that I am moderating the session, which is being led by none other than Samir Agarwal ji. So, as far as concerned to the topic, you might have heard that since last year we are talking about four items which were come into in the Finance Bill 2022. That was Section 206C1 1G, and in which there was an item of 4 items was there at the time while making the payment that TCS would be applicable, like any payment for the purpose of medical or traveling or for education or for any other purpose. So the tax rate was very nominal at that time, but since in the Finance Bill 2023, they have amended and they increased the tax amount in some cases to 20%. So there was a huge hue and cry from that time, and as you know that it was passed in the both house and then become the act. So huge discussion was everywhere in the field of all practicing chartered accountants and industries that 20% is very high. But one corner which gives us a relaxation that okay, this is not applicable if you are making payment through the credit card. So if you are making payment either by way of taking debit card from or by refilling of debit card or making payment, taking payment from the bank directly, then it is applicable, otherwise not. So this was the discussion that okay, this is not applicable on the credit card or international credit card. So on 16th of May, RBI come up with a notification that even in case of international tax credit card, it will come under the ambit of liberalized remittance scheme. So of course, what is LRS? The speaker will definitely give some background on this. So now it is already in the ambit of LRS, and then the question arises, okay, whether the TCS would be applicable in this international credit card also or not. So yes, it will applicable, and then what are the consequences, what are the repercussions, how it will work, what are the issues will come up, how the bank will deal with this such type of situation. Is there any exemption, any further notification issued by the RBI to in this regard or not, or income tax department in this regard or not? So definitely the speaker will cover. So this is a brief background of the topic. So of course, this will hit not only the practitioners, but also the industries, because it may increase the cost of the company to some extent, and it will increase the cost of travelers, it will increase the cost of other person who are remitting money. So be careful, and I'll request everyone while listening to the speaker, please raise your questions or note your questions and put it in the chat box, so that the speaker can take all the queries as and when required, or at the end of the session as per his convenience. But of course, make sure we will not leave the session unless we answer all the queries. So this is the background. With this, I'd like to request today's speaker, Samir Agarwal, to take up the charge. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, you are mute, sir.
So good evening, everyone, and thank you very much, CS Sumit ji and Sachin ji, for giving this opportunity. And definitely, this is a very interesting topic, and there are a lot of hue and cry on this topic. So we will cover this topic. So let me share my screen on this topic. Okay. So on 16th May 2023, government brought up notifications. Although this was a very, very small change, just government removed the one clause, but it has a very much impact. It impacted a lot of the things on the income tax side, on the RBI side. So we will cover this topic steps by steps. First, we will try to understand what notification have been deleted by the government. Then we will try to cover what are the LRS, which is RBI scheme for sending remittances outside India, which is known as a LRS scheme. Then we will cover changes in the TCS law, which have been effective from 1st July 2023 and were announced in the Finance Act 2023. And we will also cover why these have been changes have been brought. So what is the impact on the taxpayer, and what the suggestions we can give to the government to make this law better. So I'll start my sessions, and whatever the questions you have, we can cover those questions. So let me say. So this is the notifications which came on this 16 May 2023. On this notification, this is the notification which Finance Ministry issued under the Foreign Exchange Management Current Account Transaction rules, and they have, you can see, Rule 7 shall be omitted. So,
sir, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Can you make it full screen, sir?
Yeah, I'm making. Okay. So you can see this notification. There is just this is very small notification, and government made a just small change under this notification, and they said that Rule 7 shall be omitted. So first we have to see what is Rule 7. So this notification, this is Rule 7. So Rule 7 say that whatever the contents in the Rule 5 shall apply to the use of the international credit card for making payments by a person toward meeting expenses by such person on a visit outside India. So this was the Rule 7 which government deleted, but Rule 7 referred to a Rule 5. Whatever you this Rules 5 will apply. And what Rules 5 say? Rule 5 say that prior approval would be required if we want to do any transaction which have been referred in Schedule 3rd. Okay. So Schedule 3rd. And when we see Schedule 3rd, so Schedule 3rd say that under Schedule 3rd, government notified various type of the transaction, specified transaction, which we say, where government said that these transactions we can do till a limit of USD $250,000, and till this limit we can do specified transaction, and we don't need the this RBI approval for doing this transaction up to this limit, and transaction are specified transaction under the current account transactions and the capital account transactions. So earlier under this rule, so under Rule 7, credit card was not included. So government was saying that even if you are visiting outside India, And if you are doing any transaction on the foreign exchange with this credit card, so that was not counted under the LRS, this 250K limits. Okay. And since this was not getting covered under the LRS, TDS rules were also not applicable into this. Now we will see what are the transactions which have been referred in Schedule 3. So there are two types of the transactions. Current account transaction and capital account transactions. Under current account transaction, government specifies if we are doing any foreign travels that have been covered, gifts have been covered. If we want to make a donation to any party in our relatives or give to any relatives, we are going for any employments abroad, emigration, maintenance. We are sending some funds for our relative maintenance. We are going on official trips, or we are going on medical treatment, education. So these things have been covered as a current account transaction. And of course, in current capital account transaction, government had covered if we want to open up foreign accounts, if we want to acquire a property. So these kind of the transaction which have been covered under the current account transaction and capital account transaction. And under the FEMA rules, government said till 250K USD, we do not need RBI approvals. Okay, so we can say this is in the automation modes. But when this rule 7, which was exempting credit card transactions, so all type of the payments mode earlier were covered, whether it is debit cards, whether it is traveler check, whether we take a dollars from AD bank. So all these things have been covered. Credit card was specifically excluded from this 250K limits. But when this has been removed, okay, you can see we have the dual impact now. First impacts by removal of clause 7. Now this whatever the expenses which we make from the international credit card, so that would come under this 250K limit, which have been prescribed by the RBI. Second impact we have seen in the recent this Finance Act 2023. There were changes in the TCS law where TCS has been changed on the overseas travels and others from 5% to 20%. So by the deletion of this clause 7 by the Finance Ministry, now this will also come under the LRS, and when this come under this liberalized remittance scheme, automatically this comes under the TCS at the rate of the 20%. So this is the impacts on the international credit card transactions. Now I have given a more detailed backgrounds about this LRS, because each thing is connecting. So LRS is a scheme by the Reserve Bank of India. And this scheme was introduced in year 2004, and they started this limit of sending remittances outside India without RBI approval from an amount of $10,000, something like that. And over a period, they have reached this limit till USD 250K. Okay, so till 250K USD, we can send our money for the specified transaction, which I have been mentioned in the previous slide. And this 250K limit, we need to understand few points here. This limit is for per financial year. Okay, so this is the first point. Financial year would be April to March, would be for the permissible transaction only, current or capital account transaction. And this LRS scheme is applicable only to the individual. It is not applicable to other FSC like partnership forms, corporates, HUF. This is not applicable. And this is a per person 250K. And the motive behind this scheme, key governments want a more free hands to the investor, so that they can easily because we know from our experience getting approval from RBI is a very cumbersome process. So that's why RBI given it this till this limit, you can easily send the funds. You need not to come to the RBI filing a lot of the documents, and you have to wait till 250K. It's in the automatic mode. Suppose you want to make a investment in the overseas markets, so that is also a permissible transaction, and within this 250K limits, we can do these transactions. Okay, but I want to tell you what was actually happening. This is, and credit card was not included under this 250K limit. So what people were doing, they were first exhausting this 250K limit. Simultaneously, they were using the credit card also. So suppose I am going abroad and I have taken a 250K money under this LRS scheme. And I also went with my credit card and 50K, 20K, whatever the amounts I did from my credit card, but that was not getting coverage. So that was the issue on this, so which government tried to fix. Here I try to cover this remittances which have been made under the LRS. So you can see in financial year, this is typing mistake, this is 2020-21, and amounts are in the $1 billion. So in 2020-21, around $12 billion have been amount had been sent from the India. This amount has been increased in 2021-22 around $20 billion, and in 2020-23 this has been increased till 24 US billion dollars. So you can see, and out of this 24 billion, government has given a data ki 50% this belong to this overseas travel accounts, and as per the RBI data, more than 1 crore people previous year traveled visited outside India. So that's why under, and irony this key under this data 24 billion, whether it's in 19 million what the amount had been spent on international credit cards, that is not covered here because government had that consolidated data available. So this has been not covered under this. Now I covered this. First, I tried to cover this LRS scheme. Then I covered this TCS scheme, proposed changes. Where basically there are 4 types of the transactions which have been covered under this TCS. So first stage key, for suppose you want to send a money for the education, your kids are studying abroad and you want to send the money for their education. You want to go abroad for the medical treatment. So that's the first thing. And here I try to cover what is the situation till 30th June and what would be the situation after the enactment of this Finance Act 2023, and new TCS provisions are effective from 1st July 2023. So if we are sending a money for the education and medical treatments, the government said there are threshold of the 7 lakh rupees. So till 7 lakhs, government given the threshold, there would not be any TCS or anything. And if amount above that, there would be a 5% TCS on that. And for the education, government said if you have taken 80 loans, we take an education loan for our kids from a financial institute. In that case, government further reduced the rate from 5% to 0.5%. And for the medical and the education, government did not make any changes in the TCS rates in the revised this TCS Finance Act 2023. So there is no changes. What changes government made? Government made first changes in the overseas tour package. We know if we want to go for a family vacation outside US, Singapore, Dubai. So if we take a tour package from this tour operating company in India, so we have to pay a 5% TCS on that. So suppose we are taking a package of the 5 lakh rupees. So the tour operator will charge to us 5% TCS upfront on that. So and without any rebate, there is no threshold limits. Government raised this 5% to 24%, which is effective from 1st July 2023, and maintain the same status. There would not be a threshold; it would be a straightforward 20%. So there is huge increase from 5% to 20%. If you are going abroad from with your family for a 5 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees, you have to spend 1 lakh rupees more on this TCS deposits. For any other purpose, there are different purpose given. We have seen in the under the current account transaction and capital account transactions. So there, what government said ki, earlier we had the situations ki if 5% was the amount, And this amount has been also increased 20% without any threshold. So when this 16th May 2023, this notification came, they said for this any other purpose, there would not be any threshold. But after representation and considering that this lot of the difficulties may be faced by the taxpayer and the authorized dealers and others, government realized this immediately, and on the you can see the asterisk on 19th May 2023, government after realizing this came with the another it's not a notification, but on the Twitter, government's finance ministry had clarified we will give relief here until 7 lakhs. There would not be any TCS. So suppose till 7 lakhs, I'm doing any foreign transactions. This TCS would not be applicable, and this would be excluded. Any credit card expenditure, especially they have mentioned in the tweet, international debit or credit card, both they have covered. They said that any expenditure in a foreign currency if you make from an international debit card or from an international credit card up to 7 lakh rupees per financial year, that would be excluded from the LRS limit and will not attract any TCS. Huge relief from the finance ministry. Otherwise, this was the case like that. Suppose you want to buy a subscription, you want to buy a magazine, your kid want to buy a game from the US Amazon website, or your parent want to buy some medicines or medical equipment or medical device from the US, and even you are making a payments of this $1,000, $100, $50 even. In that case, before this threshold removal, earlier 20% TCS was applicable. So it was very difficulty in that case, but thanks to the government, they realized this thing and they have given a relaxation up to 7 lakh rupees. So there is no problem. And 7 lakhs rupees, it would be around $9,000 to $10,000 considering the current rates. It would be 9,000 something. So that's a huge relief from the government. Now we have to understand what was the necessity for bringing this change. So as I mentioned, the government was unable to track the international credit card because this was specifically removed from the current account transactions rules. The credit card, any foreign expenditure on the international credit card would not be covered. So government was unable to track the expenditure on the foreign expenditure from the credit cards. And government also want to know how much is the actual remittance, because since credit card is not covered under the LRS, so government is unable to know how much is the total expenditure, including the credit card. This was the second purpose. Second purpose, government want to play equal field playing. Earlier there is disparity, as I mentioned. Earlier under this LRS scheme, only a debit card and forex card were covered, and 20% was 5% TDS was applicable on that. Credit card was not covered, but now government want to make a fair and they want to cover each and every instrument, so they cover the credit card. We know that every government, not only India government, every government is very concerned about their foreign expenditure and reserve. So government want to more control on the foreign expenditure things because reserve also get reduced if we have the more foreign expenditures or remittances outside. Same time, government always want to promote their domestic travel, because we have so many things in India to see. Even a lot of the people from outside also come to India. So government want to promote a domestic travel, and whenever domestic travels promote, automatically domestic consumption also get motivated. And when domestic consumption increase, indirectly government gets a lot of the taxes in the form of the direct tax and indirect tax. And another purpose, this credit cards also comes under the 250K limit. So since what people were misusing this clause, they were taking a 250K, as I mentioned earlier. and were also using this credit card also. And in some cases, credit card limit may be 100K, 200K, $1 million also limit maybe for investment purpose and other things. And when government did a scrutiny, this is the last point, government found there is huge appropriation between the this amount spent on the this credit cards when government collected data from the various banks through RBI, and when they match this data from their filed income tax return, government found that in some cases, although there is huge expenditure on the international credit cards, 5, 10 lakh rupees, 20 lakh rupees, 50 lakh rupees in crores, but even these people have not filed the income tax return. Our return have been filed with a very lower value. So details are available with the government. So that's why government wanted to cover this international credit card also. So this was the backgrounds why these changes have been brought by the government. What we should do for this. So from this changes now, in my opinion, now we have to be very careful, because 20% is a very huge percentage, although relaxation have been given till 7 lakhs, but still we have to be very careful. Whenever we use, we do this overseas travel, we should use the credit card of the person who has the taxable income, who deposit the advance tax or something like that. So that's whatever the amount have been collected as a TCS, tax collected at source, that get adjusted. So we have to be earlier, we were doing a foreign travel, and any family member were doing the expenditure. So that should not be case now. We have to be mindful on the expenditure to whom credit card we should use. So that's money doesn't get blocked. Second things which is for the corporate side now, we have to be also changing our official travel policy. So earlier, what is happening in the industry, there are a lot of the expenditure which employee makes from his personal credit cards. So like he has the MX credit card, Citi credit cards, and these MX and Citi card, when you make the expenditure, they also give a lot of the reward points. So suppose you are making a 10 lakhs rupees, 20 lakhs rupees expenditure on a foreign travel, and those kind of the expenditure, you can easily get 20,000 to 50,000 rupees as a cashback when you are in some kind of the rewards. So this was happening now. This corporate has to change their travel policy. They have to strictly do all the bookings, all this airlines booking, travel booking, all the expenditure, and they have to issue the corporate credit card to the employee who is doing the traveling. So that's whatever the TCS have been collected, the company can claim against the company can adjust that amount from their advance tax or self-assessment tax which they are supposed to deposit. Otherwise, there would be issue. This employee will get the there would be a TCS on the employee personal PAN number, and company will not reimburse that TCS. So suppose an employee made an expenditure of around $1,000, and 20% TCS $200 had been charged on that. So company will definitely reimburse this $1,000 only, and $200 would be from the employee account. So there would be some kind of the concern from the employee. Third very important point, we have to educate our associate and others. This TCS actually it's not a tax. It's some form of the advance tax only. The government collecting the tax, but it is not a tax. Since this will get adjusted from your tax payables, and it will also, and if it is not adjusted, you can claim in your income tax return as a refund. So it's a pass-through tax. So there is no need to be panic, although I agree the rate is on very higher side. And if government have the purpose to tracking the international credit card expenses, I'm not sure why the government have taken this 20% higher rates. For the other transactions, they are taking a rate from 0.1% to 5%. The same case earlier, like an international credit card, the same case earlier was happening with the this motor vehicle purchase, where a lot of people were buying the these cars and other things, so government put a 1% TCS. So rate is very lower. So that's why you can see there is no adverse impact on the car sales. So the sale have been increased number of times because even government is tracking that expenditure, but rate is very minimal. And the person who is buying the car, he can adjust. So same things government should do here. 20% is a very, very higher side rate. It can be definitely government may think for reducing this rates. Now, in this slides, I'll talk about what would be the impact on the taxpayer from this changes. So first, as I mentioned, this is not a tax. This is some form of the advanced tax, and there would be two things from this. Once your TCS have been charged on a credit card by a banker or any authorized dealer, so what would be happen? Either you can adjust from your final tax liability. Suppose you are supposed to pay this June quarter advance income tax, 15% advance tax you have to pay. And suppose you have your tax liability coming for first installment, suppose 10 lakh rupees. And if you see 2 lakh rupees have been already adjust this charge on this as a TCS credits I have, so you can deposit the 8 lakh rupees. Okay, so that's the option we have available. And second option, if we don't have any tax liability, suppose credit card expenditure have been made by a person who doesn't have the taxable income, it has been made by the housewives or by the kids, or even by the senior citizens. So in that case, they can file the refund application, refund in the ITR. Definitely with this 20% high side rate, there would be a cash flow. So suppose you are making a 10 lakh rupees expenditure in the foreign currency, 2 lakh rupees would be get stuck. So there would be a cash flow issue. So that especially for the housewife, senior citizen. So those doesn't have the sufficient taxable income. Third thing, we know from our experience, if we have the refunds, so refund is very time-taking activity. Suppose I do a transaction in July, 10 lakh rupees and 2 lakh rupees in my example is a TCS. You see that if I don't have the taxable incomes, so getting that refund, I have to bail around next year till June, July. So it would be around a 12 month to 18 month period to get this amount refunded. So definitely, although a refund is available for the TCS unadjusted amount, but it's a very lengthy process. As I mentioned, TCS is 20% is where the higher sides. And if that money had been invested in another instrument, definitely we would have some kind of the interest earning, and we are opportunity lost also from this amount blocked. And this is last point for the corporate side. Say, suppose you are the salaried employed, and this you have the TCS credits of 2 lakh rupees. And if you go to your employer and if you ask the employer to adjust this TCS, so I want to update you both are the different provisions in the law, and credit of TCS against TDS is not permissible. Although this is a demand from the industry or everywhere, this should be also a cross utilization, like we have the GST side also, SGST, CGST, and IGST. But here we don't have that kind of the things available. Even this amount cannot be adjusted. If employee have the 2 lakh rupee TDS and he goes to the employer and say you are deducting my this amount TDS every month, now you give me a credit of the TCS and make a lower deduction. So sorry, this is not currently permissible. Since on 16th May, government issued this notification, and in every 2 or 3 days, government bringing lot of the clarification. Still, we are waiting lot of the clarification from the finance ministry, and we checked from the ministry also from one of the official, and by next week there would be one more set of the FAQ will come, which will give more clear picture about this transaction. But they have issued on 18th May one this FAQ. Although in the FAQ, they have not clarified various points. They have just tried to justify this 20% reduction. Most of the people are in this 20% slabs now and all these things. In this FAQ, they have clarified one thing. Suppose a one company is sending one employee abroad as a deputed employee for a 3 months, 6 months. So they, on the industry demand, they have excluded this transaction from LRS and the TCS and will not affect the TCS. So this is the one more clarification they have given on the industry demand. So because TCS, Infosys, a lot of the IT companies, even our company, they send a lot of the employees abroad as a deputed employee. There would be a lot of the scenario from this discussion maybe. First, suppose I have taken a three scenario and suppose one person is going abroad and use his credit card for the international purchase in foreign currency. So suppose I am sitting in India and I'm not going abroad, but I want to buy a book or game or medicine or anything I want to buy from Amazon sites or from you any country. So whether TCS would be applicable or not, this is the one scenario. So regarding this, we have to understand when this they have removed this clause 7. So in the clause 7, it was especially mentioned international credit card outside India. Since they have the removed clause that, so now even you are not going abroad and you are doing any foreign remittance outflow, you are doing a transaction which costs to this outflow of the remittance foreign currency, this will cover, this will get covered. Second point, suppose I'm planning to go abroad and I want to do all the booking, airline booking from here. Suppose I choose a thing, I'm going to Singapore and I want to do a booking from Singapore airline, and I'm making all the payments in a local currency. So whether TCS would be applicable or not. In this case, TCS would not be applicable since these are the not expand. Although we are doing this, we are supposed to do this foreign travel, but expenditure are not in the foreign currency. So TCS would not be applicable. And third is example, we are planning to go abroad and we are not taking a services as the tour operator and we are doing all this booking from India for the hotel and we are taking a tour package from a tour operator in Europe or abroad, any country, and we are making a payment from our credit cards from India through a foreign currency credit card. So TCS would be applicable or not? Definitely TCS provision would be applicable. So this is a three scenario which I try to discuss because I was getting a lot of the questions from the some people's what would be the point. So for the majority of the people, I wanted to cover these three scenarios also. Now I move. What suggestions we can give to the governments? This also I tried to cover. First, definitely, this is a good move from the governments. This is a welcome step. If government covered this international credit card also under LRS, so since there is no more disparity and all the instruments are now under this LRS scheme, so we all welcome these steps. But the disappointing is this again are TCS rates. So lot of the representation going to the governments because a lot of the discussion also happening on this because 20% huge rate. Even we see in the TDS this kind of the rate is not. We have the 1% on the contractor, 2% on the contractor, professional 10%, rent 10%. In this under section 195 and treaty and all these things. Foreign payments on an international transaction, we have the 10%, 15% on the royalty and this fees for technical services, capital gains and dividend payments, interest. If you see any examples from any treaty, rates are from 10% to 15% or 20% really huge rate to block the money. So definitely government should reconsider this rate. And I'm pretty hopeful government will definitely in coming time will reduce this rate. Third point, if this kind of the money is going to be blocked, government should definitely consider a separate refund mechanism for TCS So that this money doesn't get blocked. In other cases, TDS money also get blocked, but it is 1%, 2%. You see contractor money get, and he doesn't have, he's just doing a carpenting work or some small technical person, and 1%, 2% TDS is there. So only 1%, 2%. But here amount is 20%. So there should be a separate refund mechanism for TCS. And which in last slides I discussed one point. Currently there is no setup available of TCS against the TDS. So government showed some relaxation in the law, and this TCS credit should be also allowed to set up against the TDS, so that if the employer can also give TCS, if any TCS of any employee, and government can make a relax. This company employer can also reduce the TDS, monthly TDS, after offsetting this TCS. So these are the few suggestions which I try to mention, which we can give to the government. So this was the from my sides, these things. Thank you very much for listening. Now we can take the.
So thank you so much, sir. Very nicely, you've covered everything, and I think you've covered all the points. Either it's the notification of 16th May or 20th May, the press release issued by the CPDT, and the effect suggestion, effect on the industry. There are few queries raised by the participants. So let's start from those queries, and then we'll take up other more queries also. So first question, which is raised by Asha ma'am, that is the international credit card is defined in FEMA or IT or RBI or anywhere?
In my knowledge, they have not defined the international credit card, but there are some clarifications. International credit card is a credit card which is acceptable in most of the country, which is generally issued under this Visa and the MasterCard as a MasterCard and Visa card. So that's the definition. The cards which you can apply in your current account, your foreign currency transactions. Suppose you take a one debit card or local this any bank credit card, but if foreign exchange transaction are not this enacted into that, that would not be treated as a international credit card. So in my knowledge, there is no clear cut definition, but definitely we can ask from the government side if they can define this also.
Yes, sir. But they have used this term in various notifications, like 30th January 2003 notification, when they said it is not applicable, they used it in many times. So I think it might be somewhere in the RBI guideline, but of course that needs to be checked. The second question is, it means if payment for overseas tour package is made by a specified card, then up to 7 lakh, there won't be any TCS.
Here they have clarified, sir, suppose you are making a 7 lakh till 7 lakh rupees. If you are making a payment through this credit card to a tour operators in India, so still the TCS would be applicable. But if you are making a directly transaction using this debit card or international credit card, so they have clarified 7 lakh rupees exemption. Although, as I mentioned, this is from our Twitter of the Finance Ministry. Still, they have not issued any notifications or the more clarification into that, how this 7 lakh rupees would be treated.
Sir, if it is for if it is for tour package, a specific section is there.
Yes, yes.
So section is there. So I think that will attract. If it is not falling under that category, then only it will the other provisions will attract.
Hmm.
So if you are taking a tour, so अगर आप tour package book कर रहे हैं, ये आशा मैम का क्वेश्चन है.
Specifics should prevail, I think so.
So yes, आशा मैम. So जो provision already दिया हुआ है जो tour package के लिए, वो उसमें cover करेगा. और अगर traveling के लिए आप जा रहे हैं, like you have booked the ticket online, you have booked the cruise online, तो उसमें वो others में जाएगा and it got cover नहीं होगा.
Sir, I want to clarify कि why they have covered, because
yes,
now with this every day we cover something like that. Most of the families in India now we covered कि we bought something from Amazon US sites. We want to better medicine from the US or from any country, small transaction. So that's why to remove the practical difficulty, till 7 lakh they have given. remove this limit 7 lakh rupees, because you see a lot of the online games are available now. Every day kids are demanding ki we want to buy this international games, and games cost are $100, $200, and there are only $5 to $10 delivery charges. So that's why government was also difficulty in considering these transactions, small transactions. So on one way they have given a very good relaxation, 7 lakh. So that's only a big taxpayer only they can cover, and that is the purpose of the
It
government.
need to be clarified further, I think so, because another challenge उनके लिए आ जाएगा फिर credit card companies के लिए कि out of that 7 lakh कितना amount tour and travel के लिए हो रहा है, overseas tour के लिए, कितना amount other है. That will be the challenge. But अगर ये इसमें include करके चलते हैं, then कहीं ना कहीं हम देखेंगे तो government is promoting to use the loan or credit card or these things.
Yeah.
Education, maybe they have done the same thing. If the person is paying from his own bank account, then the rate of TDS is 5%. If he has taken loan, then 0.5%.
Another point from the government, now they are saying 7 lakh rupees, till 7 lakh, they have already exempted the income under the new tax schemes.
Yes.
So that's also the connection from the government. Yeah. So definitely.
Okay. So sir, ये जो 30th May 19th May वाला जो नोटिफिकेशन जो गवर्नमेंट का प्रेस रिलीज आया है, उसमें उन्होंने सिर्फ डेबिट कार्ड और क्रेडिट कार्ड कवर किया है. So अगर मैं यहाँ से अपने बैंक के थ्रू मैं फॉरेन क्रूज को पेमेंट कर रहा हूँ, सो उसमें वो कवर नहीं होगा.
Sir, as I mentioned, when they will issue a notification for this, they will cover other things also.
Otherwise वो थोड़ा mismatch रहेगा हमें.
They have mentioned only a debit card and credit card. So they have just mentioned that, but definitely your point is valid. Yeah, I don't want to make a payment from the debit card, credit card. I want to make from a payment from bank accounts and other modes. So that should be also covered. That's the intention of the government. You see, what is the intention of the government? Government want to give you a relaxation till 7 lakh rupees. Government is not concerned on how you pay. Suppose you pay in cash or anything, dollar payments. So that's the purpose of the government.
Thank you, sir. So second question is from Ashish Bhalla, sir. That is it from per card or per person? So that 2.5 lakhs. So Bhavana Dua ma'am has already replied that I believe that it is per person. The financial year. So it is right.
Yeah. Per person, you have suppose 4 members in your family, and you want to send money to your relative. So all 4 members can cumulatively they can send up $1 million. So that's a relaxation government give. But since this is tracked from your PAN card, okay. So per person they track from a PAN card. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one more question.
Another challenge is there ki if the person is holding more than one, like 2, 3, 4, which is very common these days.
Yeah, PAN card.
Different, not PAN card, that credit card. So uska compilation फिर how that will be computed कि 7 lakh किसके card पर हुआ अगर if it is
that mechanism banks have available now. That's mechanism they have. Suppose you otherwise everybody will do like this.
Yes.
They will get 10 card issue and they will send a 2.5 million. So yes. They have mechanism available with the banker.
So this is also applicable in 194N, ma'am. जब आप 1 करोड़ से withdraw करते हैं, aggregate.
Cash में. Okay.
Yes. So that is already वो mechanism already होगा इनके पास. आशा मैम का एक और query है. So since you are there, you can ask. आशा मैम आप खुद ही पूछो ना, आप तो वो है.
One point I want to add. Sorry, I'm interrupting. One point I want to add here. The same things you see now government is coming with more comprehensive this AIS, annual information statements. So all the transaction also they have covered foreign remittances in AIS also. So suppose even you are doing a smartly, you are taking this foreign remittance from the 10 banks, every will get captured in your AIS. So that data is available with the department through AIS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Asha ma'am का एक और क्वेश्चन है सर, if employee makes payment from his own credit card and then TCS will be in his PAN, then he gets reimbursement from company for that pay expenses. How that transaction should be booked in company books on account books of accounts, what will be the repercussion of employees, as now in his 26th year, it will reflect to TCS in his huge travel expenses and his salary?
This is very good question. And this is very practical question since I'm from the industry. So same question we are also facing in our company. So in this case, what would be happen? Company will not reimburse that TCS portion. Okay. So as I mentioned, the $100 expenditure and $20 is a TCS, but company will reimburse $100 only, because for $20 which have been linked with your PAN card, so the employee will get a credit for that when he will file his refund. Otherwise, what would be happen? Company will give $120 reimbursement and employee will also get a $20 as a refund from the income tax office. So that's why I mentioned that we have the demand from the government. Government should allow TCS versus offsetting of TCS and TDS. So that's the point.
सर एक और पॉइंट निकल के आता है कि अगर मान लीजिए मेरा TCS यहाँ पे कट रहा है और since the percentage is very high, so 20%. So अगर मान लीजिए मैं 2.5 लाख का पेमेंट किया तो 50,000 का TCS हो गया, और मैं अगर रिटर्न नहीं फाइल करता तो मैं नॉन फाइलर में चला गया और सेक्शन 206 CCA अप्लाई हो जाएगा।
ये अप्लाई हो जाएगा आपको, राइट। और
फिर मेरे पे वो हायर रेट या फिर हाईएस्ट रेट इज 20%, सो बाकी केसेस में भी मैं हायर रेट में फॉल कर जाऊंगा।
देखिए सर, दिस गवर्नमेंट्स हैव 360 व्यू। आप कहीं ना कहीं जाके ट्रैप हो गई होगे, ये उनकी स्ट्रेटजी है अब कि कहीं ना कहीं उन्होंने आपको कैच कर ही रखा है, और वही गवर्नमेंट कर रही है कि लोग वॉलंटियर बने। गवर्नमेंट वांट टू पुट अ मोर कंट्रोल्स, नॉट लाइक प्रीवियस type of the control कि they are doing a more post scrutiny and all these things. Government want to do a pre-awareness camps कि like for income tax returns they are saying कि now we have provided 26 years, we have provided AIS, we have provided TIS. Before filing your return, you see each and everything so that nothing get missed. So that's the purpose of the government.
Right, sir. So apart from this, of course, जो अभी ये 1 जुलाई 2023 से एप्लीकेबल होगा सर?
Yes.
ओके, सो जो भी ट्रैवल प्लान करना है आप लोग उसके पहले
उसके पहले ही आप प्लान कर लीजिए। अभी आप बुकिंग करते हैं तो अभी नहीं है, 1 जुलाई से होंगे। और इसमें एक इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट और है जो काफी बेनिफिशियल है सबके लिए कि व्हाट अबाउट द दिस NRE एंड NRO अकाउंट्स आल्सो। ओके, so NRE accounts we know कि उसमें whatever the money that is the foreign earning also for the NRI, so this TCS provision would not be applicable for a NRE account. And NRO, whatever the money that's after the this tax payments and 15 CACB and income tax section 195 is already there. So suppose I sold a one house, I am a non-resident, I sold a one house, and the same after that this TDS deduction, I deposited that money in NRO account, and if I want to take this money outside, freely I can take, subject to 15 CACB. So that's the thing on this NRE and NRO, this TCS provision would not be applicable. I want to give this clarification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, one more question. If a non-resident person, can a non-resident person have also international credit card or non-Indian citizen? Yes,
sir, they can have, but if he is non-resident, his income would not be, even if he making, he is non-resident and if he making the transaction outside India, so he is outside of the Indian taxation preview.
So LRS provision anyway not apply.
No, that will not be covered.
So this is basically in relation to LRS.
There would be a lot of the clarification. You see, by next week there would be a many pages FAQ because this is very hot topic nowadays.
Okay. So Sangeet Garg sir has mentioned that now rates have changed from 10% to 20% from 1st April on royalty and FTS to non-resident. Sangeeta. Okay. So Sangeeta.
Sorry.
So okay. So that is okay. So any other query? I think there is no query in the chat box.
Right.
So Sumit Garg sir, you can take the vote of thanks.
Definitely, Sachin ji, wonderful discussion and wonderful elaboration of the subject by Samir ji. So everyone have enjoyed the session. Asha ji, I think Asha ji is there. So I can request her to take charge for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sumit ji. But before that, एक query आई है.
Yes.
Sir, in the chat box.
A brother
If we
wants
can-
to gift sister 2 crore.
Brother wants to
outside
give wants to give sister 2 crore outside India. Is any tax implication?
As I mentioned, this donation, gifts and donation that are covered under the current account transaction. These are the permissible transaction, and considering the current foreign exchange rate around 83 to 84 something was going on, you have to just make a calculation with that rate. You have to approach to the bank, and definitely you can do. If you are this tax-free income, you can do till 250K. They have given a free hand to you. Whether you want to invest, whether you want to gift, whether you want to spend, this is your money. They just want to track this money. This is not a tax. TCS is not a tax. That's the purpose of the government.
Okay. So it means you are free to give to your brother or sister
Yes.
outside
They have
India
allowed.
from your LRS balance.
Yes, they have allowed.
Okay. Great.
Okay, so last query is also taken up now, so we can proceed for. So on behalf of Team CASA, I thank you so much, Samir sir, for giving your time and for this detailed discussion on this topic. And thanks to Sachin sir also for beautifully moderating the session and sharing his views also. And thanks to all the participants for joining us today. And making this webinar very success. Almost houseful tha Zoom ka. So thank you each and everyone, and thank you Sumit ji, founder of CASA. आप रूटीन में हमारे लिए webinars इस तरह से organize करते रहिए, and beautiful learning session for everyone. Thanks to each and everyone.
Thank you. I also enjoyed. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Sachin sir, for motivating me. Thank you, Samir sir, for giving this opportunity. Asa ma'am also.
Thank you,
This
sir.
is my first session with CASA, but really I
Right.
also enjoyed.
But it was a wonderful one, sir.
Wonderful session, and well,
We
you have
look forward
completed
for
well
further
in
sessions
time.
also.
Well in time also. Well, definitely
Yes.
the topic was covered.
Yes, that's
And all
important.
queries were also covered.
Right. So thank you to all participants. Thank you, Asha ji, Sachin ji,
Thank you,
and
sir.
of course, Speaker Samir ji.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.